Alrighty, let's just get right into this. Upon reviewing the first video, I made a mistake on the shipping. Okay, I ordered 2 boxes from these guys, right? But each box that I ordered was 22 pounds each, right? But since I ordered them together, they put both of those batches, both those 22-pound batches, in one large flat rate box. I assume that if I were to buy one 22-pound batch, it would be in a medium flat rate box. Okay, so I thought I was going to get a second box, but I'm not. They both came in one box. Both batches came in one box. Okay, which is good. And that's not there's no complaint there. I just wanted to clarify. Yeah. So it saved a little bit on shipping for the seller when he did that. But I wanted to buy 2 boxes to have enough, because 22 pounds is really not enough to do testing on. Anyway, it all came in one box, so I wanted to get that out of the way. Now I'm going to knock this all down into heat treatable size flakes, and maybe a couple of bifaces and a bunch of spalls. Alright, so the next step in the process is to knock them all down. Now, if you're not one to read the description, the total on this box was 44 pounds, which makes sense because it's 2 22-pound batches together. So that's a total of 44 pounds. And indeed, that's what it was. On the scale, 202 minus my weight of 158 is 44 pounds. It's perfect. All right. I weighed all the first batch of waste debitage, and it came out to 6 pounds, 12.7 ounces. So almost 7 pounds of unusable stone to begin with. And what is that in percentages? I don't know, 44. What percentage is like 7 pounds out of 44? I don't know. We can figure that math out after the final video. But it's in the description of this information, I think, is in the description of the previous video. Alright, this is part 2. Make sure you watch part 1, because it's fun. Yeah, had lots of fun in the first video. Alright, so we're going to get right into breaking these down into spalls and flakes for heat treating. So this is going to get kind of boring. I'm going to use a combination of hammers. Maybe I'll just use only the sledge, that way I don't have to waste time switching back and forth. I kind of do want to use the aluminum, but it bangs up my aluminum so bad that it's ridiculous. Now I have more aluminum of that size, so don't worry. It won't interrupt any videos if I ruin this, but if I encounter a problem, I'm going to the steel sledge. Okay, so, and if I encounter more of the junk, the totally junky stuff that I cannot use, I will throw it in the box to be weighed again to get the total amount of junk after we're all done. Alright, so this whole batch is 44 pounds, just to give you an idea. Alright, so I'm going to try to maximize this for the flakes and not for bifacing. Although I may be able to get a biface or 2 out of it. This is specifically being broken down for heat treating. Just keep that in mind. I know that you're not going to keep it in mind, and some are going to say, well, you could have had a biface out of that. What'd you do? I'm not going for the bifacings. Okay? That's why. Some of you still missed it because you're out making a sandwich or something. Someone else will tell you later what was said because you weren't paying attention. Now, is this breaking it down for flakes and spalls? Yeah, but it had an internal crack in it. I can't do nothing about it. It's not my fault that it's not good. I'm going to heat treat this anyway. This little blob here. Yep. Just to see if it's going to be heat treatable in that state. Just so you can see. I already know that it probably will work. But since you guys don't know, you need to know. Inquiring minds need to know. Okay? Okay. I knew you'd agree. I do these videos perfectly like everybody wants. Everybody wants me to do these perfectly, and that's what I do. Yep. So it doesn't matter if they get blocky, nasty. I'll still heat treat this. Can this be knapped raw? Yeah, it's torture flint though. It is torture flint. All right, let me make room in this box over here for the absolute nasty waste that cannot be used at all, so we can weigh it. You know, I'm going to make a distinction between totally nasty stuff and stuff that could have been used. That's totally nasty. This other stuff I'm going to heat treat. Yeah. So, and this other debitage that's not totally nasty, it's just regular debitage. Oh gosh, I probably will just throw it in the heat treat also, just to give the heat treat some more mass. Because it does cool down better if it's in a big mass. You know what I mean? So I'm going to throw all this stuff in the heat treat. All the stuff that's not completely cruddy is going to go in the heat treat. If it's complete crud, it'll go into that box as complete crud that can't be used. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to heat treat this quartz-like stuff. We're going to have to remember some of this because I'm not going to keep track of every single piece. You're going to have to keep track on your own whether or not some of this stuff is much different from the raw state just by looking at it at this stage. You know what I mean? See these, I'm going to heat treat these so you can see how it's acting right now. And then you'll have to remember, because I'm not going to keep track of everything, to see how it's different. I'm going to keep track of the ones that I do rock to point. I'm not keeping track very much of this general flake heat treat operation. It's just too much to keep track of. But I can keep track of the rock to points that I'm going to be making. The rock to point videos. I'm going to do a rock to point on the raw stuff, and I'm going to heat the flakes that come off the raw stuff, and then I'm going to knap the heat treated flakes, and so we can see the difference. Okay, all right. Now I'm going to knock this down small enough so that I can be confident that I can heat treat this chunk without issues if I can knock it down into a reasonable size without breaking it up completely into useless pieces, although I'm not doing a good job. If I stick it in the heat treat now, I don't think it'll be worth heating. It's not going to heat evenly. I need to get it thinner. Come on. I can see the incipient. Okay. There's an incipient crack right in there, isn't there? Yeah, it just won't release. Did I do it that time? Nope. It won't do it. So I'm going to classify that as completely useless. All right. You got a little bit off of there, but that big chunk was useless because I don't want to heat treat it like that, and it looks like it's gonna be all junky anyway. Yeah. I gotta be careful that I keep track of all these flakes that are flying everywhere. Make sure I don't lose any potentially good ones. What am I looking for? What am I doing? I'm flipping it around. I'm confusing you. Making some of you seasick with all this turning it around. I'm looking for opportunistic spots for me to strike. If I can't find an opportunistic area, I'll make one so that I can strike off some bigger flakes. And hopefully I'll be able to knock off flakes that can be napped later. This is really rough stuff. I'm going to put this in the useless, completely useless, except for like flint and steel kits. This is excellent for flint and steel kits. Yeah. It's very sparkleacious, if I do say so myself. You want to see? I got one of these. Yeah. See that? Look at how good it is for that. It's excellent for the flint and steel. All right. For napping, yeah, it's all right. In a raw state, absolutely not. This needs to be heat treated. And I am going to revise my list to include heat treatable. If it's heat treatable, it gets a check mark. So I'm going to revise my checklist. Remember the checklist? I'm going to combine these two, double boxed and fully taped, together under one item, and then I'm going to do I'll put these together. Even if it's not fully taped, I'll give it some slack. To have both of these, and that's what it needs for check mark. But if it's got reasonable tape, I'll just put reasonably taped. Reasonably taped and double boxed to get a check mark. So it got a check mark. No, it didn't on this one. It got one on reasonably taped, but it wasn't double boxed, so no check mark. But it did get a check mark for heat treatable. So it's still 4 out of 10. I got 10 boxes. 10 check boxes is still a 4 out of 10. All right? A lot of it is heat treatable. What is to be expected is heat treatable. A lot of this Texas stuff, heat treatable, is heat treatable, so it gets a check mark for that. All right, so 4 out of 10, final answer. Still, no. We'll do some reviews on other boxes as well. Oh yes. I'm going to take advantage that I'm now in Texas, or that I've remained in Texas for a while, to order some boxes, not only from people I don't know, like I don't know Romolo, but I do know Curtis Smith and others in Texas. I will order boxes from them and do a review. Keep in mind that I do have a bias. I will tend to not say very many bad things about my buddies, but I do want to try to give a fair review of the boxes from those guys. All right. I will tell you if it looks cruddy. You know what? You know what I mean, right? If it's not up to speed, and there's my buddy that sent me that rock, I'm still gonna say, you know what? It's not that great. I want you to do better. Yeah. If it happens. Usually when I order from people that I know I'm getting some good stuff. Yeah. If you want some good stuff, Curtis Smith, Jeff Head, Rockwash. There's other ones. I have descriptions of them, or I have a list. If you need a list of people that sell rocks, just let me know. All right. I got it in my clipboard so I can access it easily. And not my physical clipboard, but my clipboard on my phone. Yeah, my digital clipboard. I got my rock sellers right there at my fingertips. There's other rock sellers I've never tried before, and I'm going to try to get them tried out. I'm going to try them all. All right? If I can remember who they are and look them up and figure out who they are, blah, blah, blah. You can recommend people that you know that are rock sellers, or whether they're good or not. And I'll see if I can order some. This one is hard to break down further, so I'm just going to heat treat it like this. Yeah, this is a difficult to knap, although you can knap this stuff raw. Just not very many artifacts are made from this kind of stuff. This is weird. It feels a lot like Mississippi gravel because it's a totally different consistency. It may not heat treat very well. We'll see. It's a weird stuff. Yeah. It looks nice, but it naps in a weird way. And the stuff is really tough. It is a Chert. But it's a weird stuff. All right. I can heat treat that, and I can heat treat the flakes. All right, all these are ready for heat treat. These smaller pieces, these need to be broken down further. Yeah. We're gonna lose some to the small debitage. That's, you know, this stuff. I'm not going to put this in the complete trash. I'm just going to leave that out as just normal debitage. Is that thin enough to heat treat? Kinda, sorta. Do I want to break it down some more? I don't, but it may need to be. Hold on. That's a little bit better. Yeah, I think I can heat treat that. What is the dimensions? My hands are small, so it looks bigger than normal. This is only 3 3/4. Okay, so less than 4 inches and less than 1 inch thick. Yeah, less than 4 inches and less than 1 inch thick. On that piece. Less than 1 inch thick is a good general rule for all heat treat anyway. You can heat treat longer than 3 inches, that's for sure. Even longer than 4 inches. You can heat treat any length as long as it's thinner than 1 inch, in my opinion. Some guys will heat big old nodules and they say they don't have no problems. I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to you. This is for people that have problems. The guys that don't have no problems, I'm not talking to you. Yeah. It's just normal debitage. It's not completely useless. If it's completely useless, I'll stick it in the box. All right. This is not one of those that's completely useless stuff. It's debitage because I just can't use it. It's too small. Now, some of this cortex is really broken up. This is not heat damage. This is river tumble damage, or glacier tumble damage. Yes, they were moved by glaciers in Texas, I believe. I might be wrong. I don't know if the glaciers came down this far or if the gravels from the glaciers tumbled down this far into Texas. I don't know. Somebody out there knows, and they can correct me. I like saying wrong statements so that I can be corrected. Yeah. People love to correct me. Yep. And it's useful. Oh yes. We get to know what's what. If I say the wrong thing and the right thing comes out, that's what's important. If we all know the right thing in the end, that's what's important. Should I biface this one even more? Yeah, let's try to biface this down even more. How's that? Oh yeah. This is all very tough stuff. So if it looks easy to nap, you're not making a good observation. Yeah. It's not easy to nap this. A lot of guys will say this stuff is completely useless. But since I'm so used to napping it, to me it's not completely useless. I make it look easy because I've napped literally 1,000 pounds or more of this. At least 1,000 pounds of this kind of stuff. Maybe not this in particular, but gravel cherts. And bull gravel, any kind of gravel cherts, I've napped hundreds, if not thousands of pounds of it. The heat treat's much better if I knock it down to a thinner biface than this. Yeah, because I've got experience napping whole nodules compared to bifaces, and the bifaces always seem to, well, maybe not always, but very often seem to be quite easy to nap afterwards. All right. Whereas the nodules will sometimes have pockets of nasty stuff that probably got nasty because it was a nodule and not something thin. The expansion of the stone during the heating will mess things up. Expansion and contraction. It will mess things up on the interior. So if it's too thick, even though it might be a nice stone that's normally nicely heat treated, when you get to the middle, it'll be broken up because of the expansion and contraction messing up the structure in the middle. Okay, this one needed indirect percussion. It needed indirect percussion because I couldn't hold it while I was hitting it. It was doing this. So if I use the indirect percussion, I can remove a flake before it knows what's happening. This kind of stuff, they call that conglomerate because it's not the typical sedimentary stuff. Hold on. I got something in my pocket that's banging up against my wrist when I'm using, I got my keys in my pocket, so I've been banging my wrist up against the keys when I'm doing the indirect strikes. Okay. Much better. very tough, so if it looks easy, it's deceiving. This is not easy to knap. I'm hitting it really hard, and I'm not really getting flakes that are all that great. Alright, I think I can heat treat that. It's thin enough. Be safe. All right, let's see. Some of this stuff on here looks like it's complete junk, but we'll see. So far, so good. I think I found most of the stone that's really nasty and already weighted. All right. Swing hard and swing accurately. Yeah. And it's almost completely useless. Almost. Not quite. There's some useful in there. A little bit. So I'm going to try to get what's useful out of there. And preserve the biface, right? Even though I said I wasn't going after bifaces necessarily, I am going to try for a biface on this one. If it works out that I can get a biface, I'll get one. But most of these are going to be just for the flakes. Because I'm not expecting really good bifaces out of this stuff. Although I got a couple. They weren't that great, but I did get a couple of bifaces so far. Dang. Yes, sir. Tough, tough, tough. This is at the upper range of hitting really, really hard. I can't hit this much harder. I'm using the end of the mallet. I'm swinging as hard as I can within reason. I can swing a little bit harder, but that's why I'm breathing into the microphone many times, because I'm exerting a lot of force sometimes. For you guys that have headphones that hate the breathing, I know. I hear it when I review the videos. Come on. Yes? Alright. This one I can probably heat treat just like this, but I'm going to knock off that real thick spot. Yeah. If I can, I'll knock it down so that we can get, so we can have the expectation of a good heat treat. I'm expecting a good heat treat. Yes, but I can't expect it if I throw in chunks that are too thick. To expect a good heat treat, I need good chunks. Can't be too thick. And again, this is all nasty stuff because it's not in the Primo category. You know what I mean? I got the Primo set aside. If you watch the first video, I've got Primo set aside for rock to point videos. This is the low grade stuff, but it can become high grade once heat treated. Oh yes, but I have to make sure it's thin enough so that the heat treat has a reasonable chance of success. And is this easy to do this? To knock it down to where it's reasonably sized for heat treat? No, it's not easy. A lot of times I'll break these by accident and I'll only get little bitty flakes or little bitty bifaces. You know what I mean? Alright, that's good enough. Let's see. Yeah. This is a lot like a quartzite. See that? Nasty. Come on. Although it might heat treat well. That's what I'm hoping. But you can see the river tumbling didn't do much to this. It's a hard, tough stone. It resists impact very well. So it's a good for hammerstoning. You know, I could have used it as a hammerstone, but we want to try to knap it. And yes, you can knap hammerstone-ish type stones. Stones that would normally be used as hammerstones, you can try knapping them, right? Yeah, if you're crazy, like us on this channel. I say us because I don't want to be alone in my craziness. I don't want to be. Alright, where are we going here? Where are we going? There's no good spots. Dang it. This looks like some of the Guillermo's rock stuff. Dum, 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 dum. There's no good spots. So I have to invent a place to hit. Yeah, I'm trying to see if there's a biface in here. Yeah, that'll work. Hitting that super hard. I hit that really hard and it didn't do anything. It's supposed to go right across that ridge. Okay. I was right about it being lower grade. Should I just heat treat it like that? I should, because that's what everyone else would do, and I can show you guys that if you do it that way, that's why you're not getting good results. Yeah, because it'll be different in the middle. If I heat treat it when it's that thick, it'll be different consistency in the middle. I know it. Yep. There we go. If it's flatter and thinner, less than 1 inch thick, we're in business. Oh, it's right at 1 inch. It's right at 1 inch. Can I get it thinner? It's possible. It is possible. I might be able to get it thinner. Not that way. Okay, that worked. I was afraid it wasn't going to work, so I'll try to take a flake in the other direction to create a better striking area. I didn't need to. All right, that can be heat treated like that. These can be heat treated. This can be heat treated. Come here. I'm gonna start it off at a 300, and I'm gonna lose some probably. Some of it's gonna break up because some of this stuff breaks up at 275 to 300 in that range. But I'm gonna start it at 300. I shouldn't lose too much of it, if any, and see how it responds at 300. Many of these will not knap any better, but I'll test. I'll go through the testing. It's going to be a series of videos where I do testing. Nothing but heat and test, heat and test. It's going to get persnickety. We're going to dive into the persnicketies. Deep dive. Yeah. Okay, I can heat treat that. All right, am I tearing up my glove enough yet? This glove has lasted a while. All right, so if I want a big old spall, I need to use the sledge. It broke in half. Yeah. It looks like it's a nice big old spall, but it broke in half. Should I try it again? This is very quartz-like. Let's try it one more time to see if I can get a bigger spall without cracking it in half. Yes, I can heat treat that. I might separate these out into two different batches. Some batches, or some of this stone, I know is not going to heat treat unless I hit it with a very high heat. I say hit it. Expose it to a very high heat. I know some of this, like this is not going to be touched at 300. No. So I might do two different batches. I don't know. It might be faster if I just do everything all together and save energy. It saves electricity if I do them all together, because you never know. This might respond at 300 good enough to nap. You never know. Even though I've heat treated a bunch of this stuff, you never know. Dang it. I wanted a big old chunk. There we go. Big old chunk. Yeah, I had to hit that several times. Not easy. Do that because I can see the crack. It's gonna break in half anyway. I see the crack in it, so let's just break it ahead of time. There we go. They don't stay together though. That would have been nice if it was together, but oh well. I need to get this thinned down enough to heat treat a big old biface or whatever. Or try to. I say that I'm not necessarily going for the biface, and then I end up going for the biface. I don't know, maybe it's a habit. You guys got me in the habit of going for the biface. It's my excuse. Is it thin enough yet? I don't know. It might be too thin because the cortex might have some issues. Probably should have left a little bit of meat on it so that when you take the cortex off, you can go deep enough to get past all the crackages. Yeah, the best stone is up near the cortex in many cases, and you got to watch it because if it's all full of cracks, the best stone is going to make you cry because there's not going to be enough of it that's clear. It's going to have incipients in it. This one doesn't look too bad, but I'm going to lose a bunch of it because I do want to skin off the cortex. Just so it can be thinner, not for the sake of skinning off the cortex. I just need to have it thinner to ensure a good heat treat. Yeah, this is good stuff here. You can knap this raw. All right, that's good enough. It's going to be inconsistent even with the heat, but it's going to be better. Right now it's very inconsistent. This stuff I just skimmed off is much different than this stuff down here. It naps completely different. This can be napped raw. This is high grade raw. But the underside, this is low grade raw. So it goes from high grade raw to low grade. This is high grade. Okay. But this can still be heat treated and it becomes excellent high grade after the heat treatment. Let me see. Let me hold on a second. No, we'll just skip. I was going to get Guillermo's rocks out again and show you that some of his stuff is this stuff. And some of that stuff is similar to this also. But this stuff here, I think it'll heat treat nicely, as long as I can get some good pieces off of it. I'll be able to show you. It's low grade because it's got a lot of defects. Because of the weathering, not because of the stone. You know, the stone itself is good. Yeah, I can get an arrowhead out of that as long as there's not too much of an issue with that stuff. There we go. Yeah, it's not too bad as far as... I am going to heat treat this big chunk. Alright, so shoot me. It doesn't meet the requirements for smart heat treat. I'm going to stupidly heat treat it. Dang it. That's tough. Nice. Now the question might come up is, does it matter if it's different consistencies when you heat treat? Does it mess it up if it's good on one side and bad on the other side? Does it like crack it in the middle or something? Do these good flints and bad flints in the same nodule heat treat in different ways or expand in different ways? I don't know. I really don't know that answer, because I don't get that technical, or I don't look for that kind of thing when I'm napping. I don't look to try to remember that kind of thing, I should say. I do look for that kind of thing, but I don't look to remember it. If there is a difference, I'll just deal with it in that particular piece, and I won't even think twice about how to avoid it. I'll just deal with it. I'll deal with it when it gets there, and that's it. No, not like that. There's some crud on this side, so I want to get rid of that. Why? Because there's nothing more frustrating than doing a heat treat that's got crud on it. Napping a heat treat that's got crud in it, it's frustrating because you don't know if it's the heat treat that messed you up or some of that crud. You don't know if the heat treat was too hot and therefore it broke, or if it's the crud that helped it to break. Because these crud areas have incipient cracks and natural existing cracks that can open up and go across your beautiful heat treat, when if they were not there, your beautiful heat treat would not have been ruined. So you get rid of those. I'm going to try to get rid of them, even though this is not easy to nap at this stage, and sometimes I remove too much. Just because I have to hit high up on the striking area to get anything to remove. Yeah, it does not remove easily. It's not doing it. They don't want to travel, but there'll be a difference once it's heat treated. Yeah. All right. What do we got? Ooh, that's not too bad. See if we can get some good spalls. Oh, that's not too bad. I'm not going to fuss too much because it's just gold gravel. It did set me back a good chunk of change, but it's cheaper than the gas I would spend gathering this stuff on my own. Right? 2 times 34. 34.95. I don't know. How much was each 22-pound batch? I don't know. Yeah, that was a stupid flake. How do I get them larger? I just have to hit higher. Yeah. Okay. Sledge. And all else fails, just sledge it. Yes, sledge it. There's an incipient in there, or a partially undetached. There it is. I should have hit it from the side to begin with. I'm going to heat treat that, even though it's a big old chunk that should not heat treat that size. I'm going to do it anyway. Sledge it. Yeah. When in doubt. My hand is sore. Okay. Not easy. In case you're wondering. Some of you might be saying, well, my stuff's not that easy to knap. Oh, yes, it is. Because it's hard. The stuff I'm knapping here, it's hard. And your stuff is the same, you know. It's going to be pretty much the same in general. Each piece is different, like I've said many times, but in general, it's going to be difficult on this stuff that I classified as low grade. This is not Primo. This is a low grade stuff. It can become high grade, and we'll see which ones are going to be high grade after the heat treatment. We shall see. Yes, indeed, we shall see. With joy and glee. We'll be happy. That didn't break off like I wanted, but oh well. Okay. It'd be better if I put this on a towel and knock off pieces. Hold on. Should I use that one? I got different towels in here. Hold on. I don't want to use a good one because I'm going to try to do some photography. I don't have any good backdrops because I ruined all my towels. You know what I mean? I ruined them all like this. And no, I don't want to go and steal some from the house for my photography. Because then inevitably someone's going to say, "Where's the towel?" Yeah. Alright. Someone's going to say, where'd the towel go? You got him in your shop, Dad? I saw him last time. Yeah, I have stolen them before. It's interesting stuff, man. Interesting, even though it's nasty. Did you see what I did, or am I out of frame? I don't like napping these on my lap. So I use a towel down on the floor. I can put a whole lot more force into it. You see sick yet? I don't see any good opportunities of where to hit. I spin it until I see a good spot. If I don't see any good spots, I continue to spin it so that it makes you seasick. Can you see what I'm doing? Probably not. I'm just looking for these spalls. And maybe a biface when I'm done. Might be able to do it in my hand now. Yeah, alright. We'll see how this works. We shall see. Some of you might be saying, yeah, it's all well and good if you do it. But you've got 14 years experience. I can't do it. Well, I was doing this after about 3 years of napping. I was able to crack into these larger nodules of bowl gravel after 3 years. So don't worry, it doesn't take all that long to be able to crack into these and spall them. As long as you're napping regularly. Yeah. If you take a lot of breaks and you don't nap very often, it's going to take you a long time to get the hang of it. Listen, there's a crack right there that's bugging me. It's not good. These flakes coming off, they are heat treatable sizes. I don't know, there's some weird stuff going on. This one is not too bad actually as far as nappability. It's just got a lot of existing cracks in it. And I installed some of those cracks, so they're not all part of the original stone. They start out as part of the original stone, and then I don't hit it right, and I end up making the little cracks worse. Yep. This is the last big piece. Okay. Didn't like the look of that one, but I hit it anyway. It didn't go anywhere. There we go. Beauty. Okay, just a little bit more. Yeah, that's good enough. All right, that's it. All done. Yep. Ready for heat treat. So what I'll do is I'm just gonna throw it all in. Yeah. So there's a lot of mass. It helps on the cool down to have lots of mass, but I mean it's not necessary. It just helps a little bit in theory. All right, it takes more energy to heat it up in the beginning, or to, but the heat dissipates more slowly and on the cool down, which is good. You want a slow cool down. All right, so yeah, I had to empty out my shoes. They were full of flakes. In case you're wondering what I just did. All right, so that's it. I broke it all down to bifaces and spalls. Where are the bifaces? That's about face. Yeah. That's a little biface. I'm not going to leave you out. Nope. Everything else is spalls and flakes. We'll see how they work. That's kind of thick, but oh well. That's kind of thick, but oh well. I could take the turtleback or that ridge off. What I do is I separate the bifaces, and just put them on top of the heat treat, just so I know they're not touching any edges of the turkey roaster or the sides of the turkey roaster. The sides of the turkey roaster are hotter than the interior, so I don't want anything touching. It's a thick piece touching, or a biface touching the metal edge on the outside. The smaller pieces, I don't care. They can touch the edges or the metal on the sides. Yeah, that reduces the mass a little bit, so the heat treat can penetrate better in there. Yeah, good. This one too. This one too. All right. Knock off the delicate areas because I'm going to have to knock those off anyway. Come on. You're tough, but not that tough. There goes some of it. Come on. You're not that tough. Maybe you are. All right. Let's see. Ouch. Alrighty then. Okay. Now we're getting into some real gravel here. Yes, indeed. That's some serious gravel. Dang it. When are you going to loosen up? This is the kind of rock that looks like you're just napping rocks that are worthless. Yeah. So what you doing napping on that driveway gravel stuff? It's flint. Yeah, flint. Them sparks are jumping. Oh yeah. Flint. Oh, come on now. You think you're that tough. It only thinks it's that tough. Oh, okay now. Okay. So we're going to take a little break and deal with this one. It probably will never become anything, but we're going to take some time because it's not cooperating. What we got here is a failure to communicate. Yep. What we got here is a failure to communicate. All right, ready? Almost got it. Just like the old days. Yep. It's harder to knock these off from the side than it is from the base, but I already messed up the base. I don't even know if it was worth it. It doesn't look that great as far as the biface. It's got issues, but it might improve a lot with the heat treat, so I'll take a little bit of time and see if I can get it thinned down. All right, there we go. Starting to. Starting to make a little bit of difference, maybe. I don't know. I hate to lose the width, but oh well. Okay, battery's going dead. So that's it. Battery's dying. That's it. All right.